It's a younger person's game to get yourself in massive debt and think that you need absolutely every last big fancy thing in the world. We all do it. We need big cars, we need big houses, we need fancy lifestyles. But if you were actually free, if you actually did not have to be at a 9-to-5 job every day, what would that be worth to you in terms of a lifestyle change? Today, we're talking about the importance of believing that you can make your retirement dream a reality. See, here's the thing. We're all brought up to believe that you have to work really hard, you have to save really hard, you have to have a 401k, you have to have a pension plan, and at the magical age of 65, it might be 67 or 8 in your country by now, that you're going to be able to retire and you're going to have all the money that you're going to need for the rest of your life. That is, in some basic ways, 100% accurate and also extremely flawed at the same time.
Yeah, I think what happens is that when we use the words retirement planning, most people see that as being a financial exercise, which is fine. I mean, that's correct. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I think we have found on numerous occasions with people that we talk to, basically around the world, is that they spend so much time inside retirement planning on financial issues that when they get to the actual retirement age, whether that's 65 or whatever that may be, they sort of say, whoa, wait a minute, I think maybe I've got my finances in place, but what am I going to do with myself? How am I going to change my life? Do I have to change my life? So as much as we advocate you've got to get your finances in place, there's no question about that. That's absolutely critical. But you've then got to be thinking about, well, what am I going to do with myself?
Well, and not just that, you need to be thinking about that an awful lot sooner in life, because the traditional retirement planning premise is that you will magically save exactly the amount of money that you need to continue your life as you know it with no changes at all. And one of the biggest problems with that is that an awful lot of people, although they work really hard, they save as best they can, they try really hard, when the magic retirement date comes along, they haven't got enough money to continue life as they know it with no changes at all. One of the biggest mistakes that I think a lot of people can make is to use a retirement planning calculator online with no guidance or assistance from a financial planning expert. Why do I say that? Because when I did this myself, and I punched in all the numbers regarding, what was I earning? What had I saved? What were my investments? What was my planned retirement date? Well, the thing came back and said I needed something like $5 million. Well, if you've got $5 million, fantastic. My hat's off to you. I'm not ashamed to admit, no, I don't have $5 million. But that doesn't mean that I couldn't be retired, that I couldn't have a fantastic life. It means I have to think about it from the opposite end of the telescope. I've got to think about realistically, what will I have? And then think about, well, what's the best life I can plan for myself on what I'm actually going to have?
Well, I mean, as you know, I'm not a big fan of retirement calculators, particularly online retirement calculators, because they don't tell the whole story. They are very arithmetic. And, arithmetic's fine, but 2 + 2 is 4, doesn't matter where you are in the world, doesn't matter what age you are. We know that. Retirement planning is a very personal thing. You have particular issues, events in your life, opportunities in your life, things you want to do perhaps in retirement, that unless you, as it were, account for that, if you're making this a financial exercise, then no retirement calculator is going to be able to figure that out, because the calculator doesn't know what peculiar or particular things you want to do. So look, if you want to use retirement calculators, go ahead. All I'm saying is I don't, I never have. I would do budgeting, I would do forecasting, I would look forward, 5 years, 10 years if possible. There will be unexpected expenses. Things will happen that you can't account for today. That's just life. These things happen. But broadly speaking, if you can look forward and say, well, my accommodation costs are X and Y, and typically my groceries are like this, or whatever, all of the expenses, if you can do that over a 5-year period, at least a 5-year period. Now, you should be doing that on a current basis anyway, but if you can do that over a 5-year period or longer, then you're beginning to start to put together some worthwhile retirement planning, projects, numbers and so on and so forth.
So bring all of this into the context of talking about an early retirement that you actually can achieve. The step one would be figure out if you wanted to retire at, let's just pick a number, say age 55. What kind of money would you actually really have at the age of 55? What are the withdrawal regulations regarding government pensions, regarding company pensions or investments in your country? And equally so, what kind of life do you really want for yourself? It's a younger person's game to get yourself in massive debt and think that you need absolutely every last big fancy thing in the world. We all do it. We need big cars, we need big houses, we need fancy lifestyles. But if you were actually free, if you actually did not have to be at a 9-to-5 job every day, what would that be worth to you in terms of a lifestyle change? What would you be willing to change, alter, give up, augment in order to make that dream a reality? That is the big takeaway from this video.
Well, the whole question that you have to face is, do you have enough money for retirement? But if you're taking your age 55, you're absolutely correct. You've got to look at your pension funds, your state pensions, whatever it may be. You've got to look at your investments or your savings, but you've got to look at, tomorrow, what happens. If I'm retired, in other words, if I've quit my day job today, tomorrow, how do I make money to pay for my expenses? Now, you may have enough saved up, and that's fine. But if you don't know how long you're going to live, I don't know anybody who does, but that's a big issue. It's a big problem that you may not have enough to last the rest of your life. So now you've got a whole range of issues to be thinking about. Do you want to take a different career job? Do you want to do some part-time work? Do you want to go into business for yourself? How do you continue to bring income into your household? And if you can't, then maybe that decision at age 55 perhaps could have been a little bit premature. We're not saying you should or shouldn't. We're just simply saying that if you are going to decide, again, using the example of 55, if that is what you're going to do, you're going to be real clear about the money side of things. And of course, as we said a few minutes ago, well, what are you going to do with yourself? At age 55, you're still a young person. You've got a lot of years of activity, agility, etc. ahead of you. Now, when you get to 65 and 75, things start to slow down a little bit. Well, we understand that. But if you want to take early retirement, you've got to think about those as well.
I think Bill's making an excellent point. In addition to deciding what kind of life you want for yourself if you retire early, the what am I going to do all day long? That's a huge component. And that's something that we're going to talk about more specifically in our next video. So stay tuned. And if you're enjoying this, subscribe to our channel.